So you're thinking about buying a home in Gainesville, Florida. Before you dive into that dreamy open house or that sunny Florida living, you need to know what you're really getting into. Gainesville has a lot to offer, but did you know that Gainesville has some of the highest property taxes in the state of Florida? And that's just to start. From rising insurance costs to hidden expenses that you will not hear on Zillow.com or Realtor.com, buying a home here can feel like navigating a maze. In this video, I'm going to break down the real costs and steps to buying a home in Gainesville, Florida. We will cover the best neighborhoods, how to negotiate the best deal, and the top tips and mistakes you do not want to make, so you won't end up overpaying or missing out on your dream house. Whether you're moving from another part of Florida or you're moving in from out of state, this guide is packed with insights. Stay tuned, because I have got real stories and tips that will save you time, money, and stress when buying your Gainesville home. Now, I know you're probably wondering, where do I even start? Well, don't worry, because I've got you covered. I'll walk you through each part of the process, from getting your finances in order to making an offer that stands out. And I'll even share a few horror stories from buyers who skip these steps so you don't make the same mistake. But let's be real. Whether you are moving across town or relocating from out of state, understanding your financial picture is where it all begins. Gainesville home prices are rising, and the last thing that you want is to find the perfect home and then find out that you cannot afford the monthly payments, the taxes, or the insurance. All right, let's start with step one, financial planning and budgeting. Because trust me, before you fall in love with that craftsman home or that pool home in Gainesville, Florida, you will need to know actually what you could afford. And no, I am not talking about just the mortgage payments. I am talking about the insurance, the property taxes, the HOA, and the maintenance. And don't forget the moving cost. First things first, let's start with your income and your savings. How much money do you make and how much have you saved up for your down payment? In Gainesville, most first-time home buyers go with a conventional loan that requires 3% down. And on a $400,000 house, that is $12,000. But do not forget closing costs, because they run an additional 3 to 5% of the purchase price. So that can add another $12,000 to $20,000. So you're already looking at a total of $24,000 to $32,000 just to get the keys. That is a big number, right? And we are just getting started. Now let's talk property taxes. Florida is known for sunshine, but it is also known for having one of the highest property taxes in the country. And Gainesville is no exception. According to the latest data from Realtor.com and the local MLS, Gainesville property taxes are about 2.2% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a $400,000 home, that's about $8,800 a year in property taxes, or about $733 a month. Now that is a lot higher than many buyers expect, especially if you're moving from a state with lower property taxes. And don't think that you're going to escape it. Even with homestead exemptions, it's going to bring it down just a little bit. Homeowners insurance is another big cost. Florida weather is a wild card, and insurance companies know it. With hurricane costs and rising premiums, insurance in Gainesville has gotten expensive. Expect to pay about $150 to $250 a month depending on the property. And if the home is older and has issues like plumbing, roof, or outdated wiring, expect to pay more if you can even find insurance. So in budgeting, plan to pay on the higher side just to be safe. But wait, there is more. Let's talk about the HOA fees. A lot of Gainesville neighborhoods have HOA fees. HOA fees can range to about $100 a month to $300 a month, and some areas are even much higher, and I've seen them as high as $888 a month. So if you're looking at listings on Realtor.com or Zillow, make sure that if you see a low purchase price that you check the fine print for the HOA fees. There could be a very large number lurking in that fine print. I have seen so many buyers get sticker shock when they realize that the monthly payment isn't just the mortgage payment. Now, let's talk about costs that most buyers forget. And oftentimes that is maintenance cost and repair costs. In Gainesville, we have everything from homes in the 1900s to brand new construction. If you're buying an older home, you want to budget between 1% to 2% of the purchase price per year for maintenance and repair costs. So on that $400,000 home that we're using as an example, that will be between $4,000 to $8,000 a year. And if you're moving from another city or you plan to make updates before you move in, like let's say paint or flooring, that's going to be an additional cost. And don't forget moving cost either. Hiring movers, renting a truck, even just the basic supplies like boxes and tape, those expenses start adding up really fast. So here's the bottom line. Before you start scrolling through all the listings in Gainesville and falling in love with the perfect backyard barbecue home or pool home, take time to sit down and figure out your real budget. Look at your income and savings and determine how much you truly are comfortable each month spending things on, like your mortgage payment, homeowner's insurance, property taxes, HOA fees, maintenance, and repairs. Trust me, while this step is not fun, this will save you from falling in love with a home that you really can't afford. Or worse, getting in over your head that stretches your budget too thin. Believe me, the numbers do not lie. All right, now that we've tackled the budget, let's get to step number 2, and that is getting pre-qualified, because here is where the rubber meets the road. But getting pre-qualified is your ticket to actually shopping for homes in Gainesville with confidence. And trust me, most sellers won't even accept your offer or take you seriously without having a pre-qualification letter in hand, either when submitting an offer or even before seeing an offer. Let's break it down. Pre-qualification is basically a lender saying, yes, based on the information that you gave me, I feel that you would qualify for a loan for X amount of dollars with monthly payments at this number. It is not a guarantee, but it is a big step. Now, if you really want to show your seriousness, you want to actually be pre-approved. And that is where the lender is going to ask you to complete an application. They're going to pull your credit, and they're going to ask you for things like your bank records, your financial statements, your credit cards, among many, many other things. They're going to take a deep dive into your finances, and they're really going to determine what the number is that you can shop for, how much your down payment's going to be, and then what your monthly payments are going to be. Now here's a pro tip. Shop around for lenders. Don't go with the first person that you talk to. Don't go with just your bank. My suggestion is you always look at least 3, and one of them is somebody who is in Gainesville, because they know the market better than anybody. And another reason that you want to shop your lenders is that every lender has different costs. Some may have a higher closing cost, but then other ones have a higher interest rate. And you want to see where that trade-off is for you. So a lender might have it be where this one lender, the closing costs are going to be $5,000 and another one's only $3,000. But the $5,000 lender may have a lower interest rate, therefore making your monthly payments lower, and you're more comfortable putting more money down and having a lower payment than you are with putting less money down but having a higher payment. And by shopping lenders, you'll be able to look at all their entire portfolio of products and the numbers and make sure that you make the decision that is best for you. So don't be afraid to shop around. You might save thousands on the life of the loan just by getting a better deal. Another thing you want to watch for is how much a lender says you can qualify for versus how much you are comfortable spending each month. Just because a lender says that you can qualify for $500,000 does not mean that you should. And I have a situation right now where a seller that purchased a home has now come back and said, you know, while I can't afford it, I would like to have more disposable income each month. So now we are looking at putting that property on the market for rent so that they can buy another property that will have a lower monthly payment so that they can have more breathing room and enjoy life more. So what you want to do is take the lender's number and compare it to your budget and find out what you're comfortable with. Now let's not forget the paperwork. The lender is going to ask you for like bank statements, tax returns, credit card statements, so much more than you have ever imagined. And you know what? You're going to give it all to them. And when they ask for it again, you're going to give it again. And you're going to feel like you gave it to them 10 or 20 times. Give it to them for the 21st time because they've got the money. And if we want the money, we got to give them what they're asking for. I know that this is a lot of paperwork, so you want to be prepared and pull as many of your financial documents together as possible to make the process be as smooth as it can possibly be. A good lender is going to walk you through step by step. Now, once this is done, a lender is going to give you a pre-approval letter. This letter shows the sellers and your agent how serious and qualified you are as a buyer. In a competitive market like Gainesville or in a multiple offer situation, this letter can make or break you getting your offer accepted in a multiple offer situation. And many times without this letter, some sellers will just ignore your offer because they feel like, hey, if you were serious, you would go through the work of getting the pre-approval, and if you don't want to do that, then why should they take you seriously? Now, that's not all sellers, but I will tell you that's a lot of sellers. And I know this to be true because I work with a lot of sellers at that price point. If you don't have that letter, they're not even going to bother to respond because they just don't think that you're serious. So don't be that buyer. By the way, if you are starting to feel like this is a lot to keep track of, don't worry. I know exactly how you feel, and I will be with you every step of the way. Whether you are just starting your search or you've already been pre-approved and you're ready to dive in, let's connect. I'm happy to answer your questions, talk through the process, and help you navigate the Gainesville market conditions. You can schedule a quick call with me. No pressure, just helpful advice. My contact information is below. All right, let's talk about step 3, finding the right real estate agent, because this can make or break your experience of buying a home in Gainesville. Sure, you can scroll through realtor.com and Zillow all day, but when it comes time to write an offer and negotiate terms, you want an agent that has your back. Now let me break this down. Gainesville is just not any real estate market. Between the University of Florida bringing in students and faculty, the growing biotech and healthcare sectors, and the mix of new construction and older neighborhoods, you need someone who knows the streets like the back of their hand. You want a local expert, someone who knows which areas are hot and which are not, which neighborhoods have the best schools, and where you might find a deal where others are missing out. Trust me, this insider knowledge can help you save time and a lot of money. But it's not also just knowing the area, it's also about experience. Did you know that according to the National Association of Realtors, over half of the agents sold 1 or 0 homes in the last year? For many agents, real estate is just a part-time job, something that they dabble in when they're bored and they think, you know what, if I sell a house or two, it'll be fun, I get to see some pretty homes. Trust me, you do not want an agent who is learning the ropes on your transaction. You want someone that has closed deals, navigated tricky negotiations, and knows how to get your offer accepted even in a competitive market in Gainesville. A good real estate agent will have connections with trusted lenders, inspectors, and title offices. People who can keep your deal moving forward without delays. And here's a tip. Ask the agent how they handle multiple offer situations. Do they have a strategy to make your offer stand out? Do they know the market well enough to advise you on a competitive but fair price? These questions will help you determine if they're a right fit for you. And of course, you want an agent who listens, who takes the time to understand your needs, your budget, and your goals. If an agent is pushing you towards purchasing a home that just doesn't feel right or is not within your budget, that is a big red flag. This is your home, your investment, and your future. You deserve an agent who respects that. If you're wondering where to find this magical agent, well, you're already in the right place. My team and I have helped so many buyers in Gainesville navigate the process smoothly. I know the neighborhoods, I know the strategies that work, and I know how to keep things as stress-free as possible. Whether you are buying your first home, moving up, or relocating to Gainesville from out of state, we've got you covered. My contact information is below. No pressure, just happy to help. Now it's time for step 4, home search strategy. This is where the fun begins, or where people think it begins. Because trust me, when you are scrolling through realtor.com or Zillow at 2 a.m., it gets overwhelming fast. There are so many homes out there and none of them are perfect. That is right, no home is perfect. It doesn't matter if it's an existing home, something you are building, new construction, no home is ever perfect. So if you're looking for a home that checks every single box, you're going to soon be disappointed. Here's what I tell my buyers. Focus on finding a home that meets 75 to 85% of the things that are on your list. And your list, it looks like about 3 to 5 of your must-haves. So look at how many bedrooms you need to have. Do you need a garage? Do you need a pool? Do you need to be within a certain distance to work or a school? Put that list of your absolutely non-negotiable must-haves on a list, and then everything else would be a nice to have. Like if it had the pool, that'd be great. Doesn't need to have a pool if it's got a community pool, or vice versa. Maybe you do need to have a pool, but put together the list of absolutely everything the home has to have, and then everything else you would like it to have, and then look for a home that hits 75 to 80%. There are many things that you can change in a home. You can change the paint, you can change the flooring, you can maybe even change out a little bit of the layout of the house, but what you can't change is you can't change the location, and you can't change the neighborhood. Now here's a pro tip for you. Many buyers ask me which platform I like to look for homes on, and I will tell you the favorite platform I have is realtor.com. I know that you like Zillow, and that's absolutely fantastic. I do like the format of Zillow, but many times Zillow does not update in real time. So by the time you see a home on Zillow, it's either been on the market for a while and somebody's already made an offer, or you think it's still for sale and it's no longer for sale. So I find that realtor.com updates every 15 minutes, so you're actually getting real-time data. And my next pro tip is be ready to move fast. You've been watching those houses, you know what the price points are in the areas that you like, and when a house comes on the market that is priced very, very well, other buyers like yourself will also know that too, and that house will move extremely quickly. Now we're at step 5, making an offer. This is where the nerves start kicking in, but don't worry, I've got you covered. You found that house that meets 75 to 80% of your must-haves, and it's time to put paper to pen. But before we start throwing out numbers, let's take a step back and let's talk about strategy. I know that you've heard the stories. Let's say there's a house listed for $500,000 and somebody gets it for $250,000. I'd like to meet that buyer because I've never seen that. What really happens is a seller is going to do a systematic price reduction. So they're going to go, let's say, from $500,000 to $580,000. And they'll wait either some weeks or a month or months, and then they'll go to $560,000. But they're not going to go from $500,000 to $400,000. That's not going to happen. So when you come in and you're like, oh, I see this house for $500,000, I've only got a budget of $350,000, I'm going to make an offer. I'm going to tell you, most sellers are going to say, you know what, I'm just going to go down every single month a certain amount of money, and at some point, I'm going to hit that sweet spot that everybody's going to come running and make an offer on this property, and they're right. The reality is most sellers are not desperate. Even if the property has been sitting on the market for a while, that's usually for a good reason. I've seen situations recently where a house has been on the market for over a year. The seller isn't going to come down on the price because the house is rented. So they already have income coming in. So they're just going to keep renting it before they take a very low ball offer. And let me be honest, lowballing properties like that waste everybody's time, mostly yours, because while you're making an offer that's probably never going to get accepted, you're missing out on the opportunity of the house that you truly, truly want. So instead of trying to find the needle in the haystack, that once in a lifetime deal, focus on making a good, solid offer. A good agent will run a comparative market analysis for you, let you know what home prices are selling for in that area so you can make an informed decision and not overpay. Things that you can do to sweeten the deal would be to put down a larger earnest money deposit or have a shorter inspection period or a closing window. But don't overextend yourself trying to win the offer and then end up house poor. To sum this up, be realistic. Work with your agent to understand the market conditions, look at recent sales, and make an offer that's strong, fair, and backed by data. Skip the lowball offers that are just wishful thinking. Trust me, you will save yourself a lot of stress and avoid wasting time on deals that just don't exist. Congratulations, you've made it under contract. But don't pop the champagne yet. Week 1 of going under contract is where things start moving fast and start to wobble if you don't stay on top of it. This first week is all about inspections. Let's break it down. In Gainesville, a home inspection is a must. It's not a requirement, but I absolutely consider it is a must. It's going to look at the roof, the water heater, the HVAC, the electric, the plumbing. It's going to check all the outlets. It's going to make sure that the appliances are working. Everything that you're going to want to know about that house is what you're going to cover in the home inspection. But there are other things that you will need inspections for as well. If there is a well or a septic tank, you're most likely going to want to get those inspected also. Now, every single inspection does add a cost, but that cost is minimal compared to finding out that there are going to be issues after you've closed on your home. Now, here's my pro tip. Schedule inspections as soon as you can after going under contract. Many contracts allow for like a 7, 10, or 15-day inspection period. As the buyer, you and the seller will negotiate the inspection period, so get them scheduled as soon as possible. It will take the inspector a day or two to get that report back to you, and based on that report, you're going to decide if you want to do further inspections, which will still all need to be done inside of that inspection period. So don't delay, get them set up as soon as possible. Also, it's best to set up the inspections on one day, and if possible within like a 2-hour window of each other, having everybody there. If you can attend, that's great, but you're absolutely not required to, because the sooner we can get those reports back, the sooner you can gather additional information and make an informed decision moving forward. Once you have all the information back from all the various inspections, you can make a decision if, 1, you're going to negotiate repairs, or if you're going to ask for concessions. So you may say, oh, you know what, don't worry about fixing that. just give me some money for it, I'll take care of it after closing. Or you may decide that you cannot agree on repairs or concessions, and you decide maybe all of this is just more than you want to take on when you move in, and you want to just walk away. All right, now we're at step 7, and we are starting week 2 of you being under contract. By now, you've already conducted your inspections, and if everything is okay, your lender is ordering or ordered your appraisal. This is where behind the scenes, it really picks up. Your lender is asking for a lot of documents that you've already given them again. And you may wonder, like, why? Well, you may have already given them your bank statement, but since you went under contract, you may have already received another 1 or 2 bank statements, and they're going to want to make sure that everything they have is 100% up to date and the most current. So yes, you're going to pull out those documents for them again and resend them. The lender in underwriting is going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Things that you didn't even know existed or forgot that they were even out there are going to resurface. It's not an issue. They're just going to ask you for clarification in writing. You will send it to them, and you will keep going forward. During this time, it feels a little crazy, but that's okay. This is actually normal. The key is to respond quickly and completely to any request. The faster you can get the information that they are asking for to them, the quicker you will keep the deal moving forward and get your clear to close. Now, I had mentioned earlier that during this week, the lender is going to order the appraisal. Hopefully the appraisal will also come back this week or just the week after. But let's talk about the appraisal. When the appraiser goes out there, they're not going to do a home inspection. That was already done during week 1. What they're going to be looking at is the value of the home in comparison to other homes in that area during a certain window of time. And that could be 3 months or 6 months or a year, just depends on how much is going on in that neighborhood. Now, what will happen is hopefully the house appraises at or above the contract price. Everything will be great. You will move forward. If it appraises below the contract price, let's say the house was $400,000 and the appraisal came in at $390,000, so it's $10,000 short. There's a few things that you can do. You will either, 1, ask the seller to reduce the contract price to the $390,000, or you will make a decision to bring the difference. It's in addition to everything else you're already doing. Bring that difference to the closing table. Or if none of that happens and you decide you cannot move forward or don't want to move forward, this will be your time to walk away. Also in week 2, the title company is going to be working behind the scenes to make sure that the seller has clear title to sell the property. They're going to make sure there are no unpaid taxes and no boundary disputes. If anything pops up, the lender, the title office, and the agents will work together to do what they can to clear those conditions. And let me say again on that pro tip, do not delay in sending any requested documents over. We've got a situation right now where the buyer got really busy and didn't send over some documents that were needed, thought that, you know what, I'll send it during the week of closing. That doesn't work, so now closing is actually delayed by 3 days because they didn't get the documents in time. Don't let that happen to you. Welcome to step 8. Which is week 3 of the contract, which is conditions week. This is where the deal really starts to come together, but many buyers tell me that they feel that they are just buried underneath the paperwork. And I understand, I have been there, I promise you will make it to the end. So what is happening in week 3? Well, remember week 1 and week 2 that we talked about everything that's going on? If they weren't taken care of in week 1 and week 2, then the title office and the lender is working on them and finishing them up in week 3. This is the week that the lender takes a final look at all of the things that they've asked for and make sure that there are no red flags. And if anything does come up, they will work with you to make sure they get them cleared up. Often what we'll see here is clarification for like any statements, any large deposits or transfers, any monies being wired, any new purchases. So this is not the time to buy a car or furniture or new flooring for the house. Just hold tight. You can do all of that after closing. I understand that this is also the time where you just feel like I cannot do one more request. I cannot take one more phone call. I've already given this thing to them 5 million times. This is normal. I understand, but do respond to the calls as quickly as you can. Get them the documents as fast as you can, and we'll keep everything moving forward. Also during this week, you want to make sure that you've got your insurance quotes and you are comfortable with what your insurance premium is going to be, and there's not going to be any issue getting your insurance. Once you've selected your insurance company, you will let your bank and your title office know. The other thing that's going to be happening during this week is you will order the survey. Now, sometimes the seller has a survey that you can use, and that's great. The title office is the one that determines if they will or will not accept the survey. If for some reason they are not able to accept the survey, so like let's say since the house was built and the survey was done previously, a fence has been constructed on the property, you will need to get a new survey. And this is really important because the last thing you want to find out right before closing is that the neighbor who put the fence up put it on your property. So it's going to make sure that everything that you're buying is 100% yours and that nobody has built anything onto your property or encroached on your property. So here we are at step 9, which is week 4 of being under contract, and this is going to be the week of the pre-closing, the final walkthrough, and the closing. So you've made it this far. I want you to take a deep breath. You are almost at the finish line. There's just a few more things to do before we can hand you the keys. It's going to be given to you and it needs to be signed and returned at least 3 business days before closing. This is going to lay out all the numbers for you. It's going to make sure what you were told when you applied for the loan is the same or very close to what you are at the closing table. It's going to have all of the numbers like how much is the house, how much money have you already put down into escrow, what is your insurance going to be, property taxes, and just so much more. So you're going to sign off accepting that document. Next, you're going to schedule your final walkthrough. Hopefully you will be in town to attend the closing. If you are not, then your agent should be able to do this for you. Now, my pro tip is you do the final walkthrough on the day of closing in the morning. Now, I say that because the day of closing belongs to you, the buyer. The day before, up until midnight, it belongs to the seller. So if you go by at, let's say, 7 or 8 o'clock the night before and the seller is still moving out, they have every right to do so up until midnight. That is their house. But the morning of is your house. And so anything could have happened overnight. I've had a situation where a storm came through and a branch fell on the shed and destroyed it. So you want to make sure that you do this final walkthrough the morning of. It's the last opportunity to see the house. You're going in not as an inspection, but to make sure that the house is in the same or better condition than the day you made the contract. And anything that was promised to be left or removed is either gone or staying. So for example, if you said that you were going to keep the refrigerator in the house and there was also 2 refrigerators in the garage and then you also wanted the washer and dryer, that when you go there, they are still there. But we had a situation where somebody said, I don't care about the birds outside. I don't want the chicken coop. So you will go there and make sure anything that you've specifically said that should not be here when I move in is also gone and that no damage has occurred to the house while the people were moving out. This process usually only takes about 15 minutes. Then after you are done, you will head over to the closing office. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is you want to make sure on this day you have already transferred the utilities to your name, because remember the day of closing belongs to you, the buyer. So that means that if you want to have electricity, if you want to have internet, any of those things, you want to make sure that you've already coordinated for them to be on the day that you are closing. Now, many times when you're on your way to closing, some people will say you'll bring the funds with you, but most often now they want those funds wired prior to closing because there's a lot of scams with cashier's checks, which was not the problem in the past. So many closing offices will say, hey, don't bring a cashier's check, bring a wire transfer or proof of the wire transfer. Now, you're going to want to work with the title office to find out what their processes are and comply with their processes. But what you will need to bring to closing is yourself and a driver's license or a passport. Now, when you're at closing, you're going to sign what feels like a mountain of never-ending paperwork. But I promise you will get through this too. If you have any questions that haven't already been answered, this is a great time to ask the title agent and or the lender who is often at the closing with you to make sure that you're comfortable with everything that you're signing. Now, once everything is signed, the title office will send all of the documents to the lender who will review them, make sure nothing is missing. Once they're satisfied, they will say that the wire has already been sent or it's okay to go ahead and process the wire transfer. And once the monies are received, then you are allowed to have the keys to your new home. Now, here is a pro tip for you. My recommendation is to close on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And why do I like those days? provided that none of them are a holiday. Well, I find that trying to close on a Monday, nobody is working on the weekend, and Monday could end up being delayed because they didn't get all the documents that they needed. Also, when you close on a Friday, if for some reason the closing doesn't happen and you've got the movers lined up, everything is piggybacking on this closing, then you have to wait to the Monday afterwards to be able to go forward. But if you're closing on a Thursday and there is a delay or a hiccup, then you can get it fixed and you can still close on Friday, only missing one day. So favorite days to close, provided that they're not a holiday, is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's just my pro tip for you. Finally, we are at step 10. You did it. Congratulations, you have closed. The papers have been signed, the money has been transferred, the keys have been given to you, and you are now a Gainesville homeowner. But wait, before you get a chance to relax, there are a few more things that I recommend you do. First, and I know this sounds obvious, is change the locks. You have no idea how many people have made keys or have been given keys of that property, and that's not something you want to find out on your first night there. So if you've got a locksmith, have him come over, or if you're very, very handy and you haven't already stopped at the store, stop at the store, get new locks, and change out all of the locks. Next, I recommend you update your mailing address. Of course, you're going to update your banks, your insurance companies. Then there are subscriptions and anybody that you feel is important to know that you moved. While you are so busy moving, you will find how easy it is to miss an important bill or statement because you didn't get your address updated. And don't forget to file your homestead exemption. Your paperwork from the closing will take about 4 to 6 weeks to get to you. Once that's done, you will take that paperwork and you can either do it online or you can go down to the county and you can file for your homestead exemption. You've got until March 1st of the next year, but do not delay because many people put it on the back burner and then they forget to do it and then they end up having that high property tax bill for yet another year. This is also a great time to make a list of your annual maintenance task because at this time, I hope that you are also changing out the air filters, maybe getting the ductwork cleaned, and absolutely cleaning out the dryer vent hose so that there is no lint caught up in there when you hook up your new dryer. And be sure you are watching for scams in the mail. People love to know when you move because they start sending you things saying that you need to pay for this and you need to pay for that, and you're so busy that you're just like, okay, just another bill from closing. Oftentimes, that's not true. So make sure that you are watching for any scams, and if somebody's asking for money, call the title office, call the lender, call your real estate agent to ask if this is a legitimate bill or if this is just somebody trying to get your money. Now, finally we're here and you get to celebrate. Congratulations. You have made a major life move and you've got a home in Gainesville. It's time to meet your neighbors, enjoy your space, and start making some memories. Whether you're hosting your first barbecue or just relaxing on your porch, you have absolutely earned it. And here is my final pro tip. You do not need to go this alone. I know that it is overwhelming, but you can have support in your corner. My team and I are here to help you every step of the way. Whether you're just starting out or you're pre-qualified and you're ready to dive in, we are happy to answer your questions and help you make smart, informed decisions. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description below. Happy to talk to you, no pressure, just friendly conversation. Thanks for watching, welcome to Gainesville, and I'll see you in the next video.